I'm halfway up the stairs when Dad's voice drifts down from the attic. She's already home by 3:30, perfect timing for when Fiona needs breaks. My foot freezes mid-step. They're talking about me. Again. I press my back against the wall. My heart suddenly a hammer against my ribs. And she's paying such low rent. She can certainly help with the baby. It's the least she can do. Mom's voice has that practical tone she uses when settling matters without input from those affected. I inch up 3 more steps, staying close to the wall where the stairs don't creak. The attic door stands ajar, spilling soft yellow light onto the landing. Mom and Dad hover near the dormer window, admiring what should be storage space filled with Christmas decorations and forgotten photo albums. Instead, I glimpse pale green walls, a white crib, and a rocking chair I've never seen before. A nursery. They've built a nursery in our attic. For Fiona's baby. The one she announced 3 months ago after breaking up with Kevin. The baby that's apparently now part of my future, too. My stomach twists into a knot so tight I can barely breathe. They've planned my life without asking again, as if my time belongs to them. As if my career teaching art to middle schoolers is just a hobby until I'm needed for something important. Last week's family dinner flashes through my mind. Dad cutting me off mid-sentence as I described my student's mural project. "That's nice, honey." He'd turned to Fiona immediately after. "Now tell us more about this marketing position. Sounds like a real potential breakthrough." Fiona had preened, describing a job she hadn't even interviewed for yet, while my actual career disappeared from the conversation like smoke. Then Sunday brunch. Fiona leaning across the table, whispering loudly to Mom, "Can I borrow $200 until payday? Just for groceries and stuff." Mom didn't hesitate, opening her purse while I quietly calculated the tip and placed exact cash beside my plate money I'd earned and budgeted carefully. The attic floorboard creaks, yanking me back to the present. I climb the remaining stairs and push the door fully open. "Were you planning to ask me about becoming Fiona's nanny, or just inform me?" My voice sounds steadier than I feel. They spin toward me, Mom's hand flying to her throat. Dad's expression shifts from surprise to that patronizing smile I know too well. "Laurel, honey, don't be dramatic. Family helps family. We thought you'd want to do this." Mom nods, stepping toward me. "It's such a blessing you're here. With the baby coming, Fiona needs all the support she can get. Especially from someone who lives here almost for free." Fiona appears in the doorway behind me, one hand resting on her slightly rounded belly, lips curved in that smirk I've known since childhood. Think of it as earning your keep. Heat pulses behind my eyes. I dig my fingernails into my palms, focusing on the sharp crescents of pain to keep my voice even. "I pay rent. I have a career. And I wasn't consulted." Dad's face hardens. "Don't be selfish, Laurel. Your sister is going through a difficult time." "This isn't about selfishness," I say, my voice quiet but firm. "This is about respect. You renovated the house, created a schedule for me, and decided my future all without a single conversation." Mom steps between us, hands fluttering like nervous birds. "We're a family. We make sacrifices for each other. That's what love is." I look around the carefully prepared nursery yacht, the fresh paint, the new furniture, the handmade mobile hanging above the crib, physical proof of how completely they've written my script without my knowledge or consent. And for the first time in 26 years, I wonder if love is supposed to feel this much like drowning. An hour later, I'm rummaging through the desk for stamps when I find it, a manila folder tucked beneath the telephone book. Dad never was good at hiding things. The loan paperwork stares back at me. $15,000 for home improvements. $15,000 for a nursery I never asked for in a house where I'm supposedly not paying enough. My fingers tremble as I flip through more papers. A bank statement with Dad's familiar handwriting in the margins. Increase L's rent from $600 to $1,025, month starting July. The question mark feels like mockery. Next to it, another note. Fiona, free housing during maternity plus first year? My stomach twists. The betrayal has a number now, 70%. That's how much more they expect me to pay while Fiona pays nothing. I slide everything back exactly as I found it and head to the kitchen for water. That's when I spot the family calendar hanging by the refrigerator. I freeze mid-step. Starting next month, someone has penciled in L, babysitting, on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. The handwriting is Mom's neat, precise, unquestionable. 3 nights a week, indefinitely, written in without asking me. Laurel, could you bring the salad bowl? Mom calls from the dining room. I grab the wooden bowl, my mind racing. This isn't just about the nursery anymore. This is a complete takeover of my life, financial and personal. In the dining room, they've arranged themselves like a tribunal. Mom and Dad sit on the couch with Fiona between them. Aunt Margaret perches in the corner armchair, her silver-rimmed glasses catching the light as she watches me enter. I set the bowl down harder than necessary. I need to ask about something. Dad glances up from his plate. Can it wait until after dinner, honey? Actually, no. I pull my phone from my pocket, open the calendar app. I notice someone scheduled me for babysitting, 3 nights a week. The room falls silent. Mom and Dad exchange glances. And there's more. My voice doesn't sound like my own. I found the bank statement. You're planning to raise my rent by 70% while Fiona lives here for free? Dad clears his throat. It's a fair contribution to household expenses, Laurel. With the baby coming, our costs will increase. But Fiona contributes nothing? Your sister is in a different situation. Mom interjects, folding her napkin with military precision. Besides, you're naturally good with children. You should embrace your nurturing side. Fiona shifts on the couch, one hand on her barely visible bump. God, I'm so uncomfortable today. She eyes my untouched dinner plate. Are you going to eat that roll? I ignore her. You planned all this without asking me. My time, my money, my future. We assumed you'd want to help, Dad says. The Hendersons were just saying how wonderful it is that Fiona has a built-in support system with you living here. My pulse pounds in my ears. You've already told people I'll be helping full-time? Well, of course, Mom says, as if I'm being deliberately obtuse. Everyone's been so supportive of our family situation. From her corner, Aunt Margaret raises an eyebrow but remains silent. My phone buzzes with a text. I glance down to see Greer's name. Roommate moving out next month. Interested? Rent's reasonable, close to school. Hope flutters in my chest, but Dad's voice crushes it. If you make waves about family obligations, Laurel, I'll have to reconsider certain arrangements. His eyes drift meaningfully toward the living room, where my childhood piano stands. That piano takes up space we could use for baby gear. You wouldn't... The piano was Grandma's gift when I turned 12. Darling, Mom's voice turns pleading. Refusing to help would break Fiona at her most vulnerable time. On cue, Fiona's eyes well with tears. The doctor said stress could harm the baby. She places both hands on her stomach. I don't know what I'll do if you won't help, Laurel. The familiar weight of guilt presses down, threatening to suffocate my resolve. But then my phone buzzes again. A different message this time from Principal Davidson. Budget approved for summer art program. Looking for a teacher. Interested? 2 lifelines in one night. I tuck my phone away, unable to answer either message with my family watching. But for the first time in weeks, I feel something besides dread. I need to think about all this, I say, pushing back from the table. Excuse me. In my room, I close the door and press my forehead against the cool wood. My hands still shake, but not just from anger now. My phone buzzes a third time. Aunt Margaret. You're right, this isn't fair to you. Call me tomorrow. I sink onto my bed, staring at the message. 5 simple words. This isn't fair to you. The first acknowledgement that I'm not crazy, not selfish, not wrong for wanting my own life. Would I sacrifice my independence, career growth, and savings to become an unpaid nanny for a sister who's never shown me respect? Or would I risk being labeled the family villain by choosing myself for once? The answer feels both terrifying and obvious. I wake to the buzz of my phone at 3:14 a.m. Fiona's name flashes on the screen, the 3rd night this week. My body knows the drill before my brain catches up, feet finding slippers, hand-grabbing robe, eyes still half closed. Coming. I text back, not bothering to ask what she needs. The hallway stretches dark and silent as I shuffle toward her room. A floorboard creaks under my weight and I freeze, hoping I haven't woken Mom and Dad. They need their rest for tomorrow's special family dinner, the one where I'll apparently be introduced to my new role as Fiona's childcare assistant. Fiona's door stands ajar, her bedside lamp casting a soft glow across rumpled sheets. She's propped against her pillows, phone in hand, thumbs tapping rapidly. Thank God, she says without looking up. I'm starving. Could you make me a grilled cheese? With that fancy Wisconsin cheddar you bought? The cheese I labeled with my name. The cheese that cost almost $9 a splurge from my teacher's salary. It's 3 in the morning, Fiona. The baby's hungry. She pats her stomach, still only showing the slightest curve. Doctor said I should eat when I need to. You wouldn't want to harm your niece or nephew, would you? The familiar weight settles on my chest, that mixture of obligation and resentment I've carried since childhood. I turn toward the door when her phone chimes. She giggles, tapping out a response. Who's texting you at 3 a.m. about your cheese emergency? I ask. Just Melissa. She doesn't look up. Girl stuff. I step closer, catching the screen before she can turn it away. A group chat labeled Baby Shower Committee shows multiple messages. The latest reading. Is she making you food yet? Lol. My blood turns to ice, then fire. This was practice, wasn't it? My voice comes out steadier than I feel. To see if I'd drop everything when you called. Fiona's eyes widen, then narrow. She tosses her phone aside with practiced casualness. Don't be dramatic. Answer me. She sighs, rolling her eyes. Fine. Mom and Dad suggested a little test to make sure you're reliable. The baby will need middle-of-the-night feedings, and they wanted to see if I'd what, come running like a trained dog? If you'd be responsible, she snaps. This isn't just about you anymore. I back away from her bed, hands trembling. It never was about me, was it? Back in my room, I lock the door and press my forehead against the cool wood. Sleep is impossible now. Instead, I pull out my laptop and open my banking app. The numbers surprise me. $9,423.16 in savings. More than I'd realized, despite my modest salary. Every canceled dinner out, every thrift store sweater instead of new, every homemade coffee instead of Starbucks, it's all there, adding up in quiet defiance of my family's assumption that I can't manage on my own. In the morning, my phone buzzes with a text from Greer. Talk to landlord. Office space is perfect for your art supplies. First month's rent reduced if you move in next week. Say the word. Something warm unfurls in my chest. Options. I have options. Another buzz. This time from Aunt Margaret. Call me after school. Found something in your grandmother's will you should know about. As I get ready for school, Mom hovering outside my bathroom door, a stack of books in her arms. I highlighted some important passages, she says, thrusting them toward me. What to expect. The first year. Baby's first foods. The nighttime nanny. The titles blur as I tuck them under my arm. Thanks. There's a family dinner tonight, she continues. Uncle Robert and Aunt Jean are coming, and cousin Melissa. Melissa from the late-night text chain. Of course. They're so excited about your new role with the baby. Everyone thinks it's wonderful how you're stepping up. My toothbrush pauses halfway to my mouth. New role? Mom pats my shoulder. We told them how you'll be helping Fiona after the birth. They're all very impressed with your sacrifice. The word lands like a slap. Sacrifice. As if I volunteered for this. 3 hours later at school, Principal Davidson calls me into her office during lunch. Laurel, I wanted to check in about next semester. She studies me over reading glasses. Your mother called yesterday, mentioned some family obligations that might affect your teaching schedule. My stomach drops. My mother called you? She seemed concerned about your availability for the after-school art program. Davidson's expression remains neutral, professional. I explained that any schedule changes would need to come directly from you. Nothing's changing with my schedule, I say, the words coming out too quickly. My family sometimes assumes things. She nods once. I thought as much. The students in your mural program are making remarkable progress. It would be a shame to interrupt that momentum. Back home, I find Fiona's makeup scattered across my bathroom counter, her towels hanging from my shower rod, her prenatal vitamins lined up beside my toothbrush. Just temporarily, she says when I confront her. The lighting's better in your bathroom for doing makeup. I don't point out that her bathroom has identical fixtures. The battle isn't worth fighting not when I'm forming larger plans. That evening, while searching for my missing phone charger, I discover my childhood teddy bear tucked in a box at the back of my closet. He still wears the tiny graduation cap I made for him after college, the one Dad called cute but unnecessary when I stayed up late creating it. I press the bear to my chest, his worn fur soft against my cheek, and smile for the first time in weeks. My phone rings. Aunt Margaret's voice comes through clear and determined. Your grandmother left you $15,000, Laurel. Your parents were supposed to tell you when you turned 25. The room tilts slightly. What? They've been managing it for you according to your father, but legally it's yours now. I've got the paperwork right here. After we hang up, I sit very still, the teddy bear clutched in my hands. The inheritance, the savings account, Greer's apartment offer. For the first time, I see it clearly, the path out. The next morning, I begin methodically photographing my belongings, books, art supplies, the small collection of vintage cameras, my grandmother's quilt, documentation of what's mine. Fiona appears in my doorway as I'm labeling digital folders. What are you doing? Her voice holds a note of suspicion. I don't look up from my screen. Protecting what's mine, something I should have done a long time ago. That night, I sign the lease with Greer electronically, schedule a small moving truck, and type a formal 21-day notice. The letter sits in a sealed envelope on my desk, waiting. At dawn, while the house sleeps, I slide the envelope under my parents' bedroom door. My fingers linger on the paper for a moment before I let go. I choose me, I whisper, the words both a promise and a prayer as I walk away. 3 days later, I slip the last framed photo into the cardboard box and seal it with packing tape. The familiar crack and pull of adhesive against cardboard sounds like victory. 3 days of strategic packing while everyone's out of the house has emptied my room of everything essential. What remains looks almost the same to casual observation: bed made, bookshelf arranged, closet seemingly full, but the soul of the space is gone. Phase 1 complete, I whisper to myself, checking my handwritten timeline taped inside my planner. Notice given, Monday, slid under parents' door before sunrise. Essential items moved, Monday, Wednesday, while family at work, appointments. Movers scheduled, Friday 10 a.m., when Dad has his dental appointment. Address change forms, submitted Tuesday. Final move, Friday afternoon. My budget spreadsheet sits open on my laptop, columns of numbers confirming what I already knew: I can do this. It will be tight for the first 3 months, but the summer teaching position starts in June. My student loan payment plan adjusts based on income. I've calculated groceries, utilities, transportation, and even built in a small emergency fund. Independence has a price. I'm finally ready to pay it. The front door slams downstairs, followed by Dad's heavy footsteps home early. I close the laptop and slide it into my teaching bag. I've learned to keep my most important possessions with me at all times. Friday arrives with gray clouds that match the mood in the house. Mom hasn't spoken directly to me since finding my notice. Dad alternates between stony silence and abrupt lectures about family loyalty. Fiona watches me with narrowed eyes, as if trying to solve a puzzle she didn't know existed. I back my car down the driveway at 9:30, planning to meet the movers at the storage unit first. Suddenly, Dad's SUV appears, blocking me in. He climbs out, keys dangling from his finger. "We need to talk about this nonsense," he says, face flushed. "You're not thinking clearly." I grip the steering wheel tighter. I've thought about nothing else for weeks. "Your sister needs you. We need you." "You need what I provide," I correct him. "There's a difference." His phone rings the dentist's office, according to the caller ID that flashes on his car display. He silences it without looking away from me. "Move your car, Dad," I say quietly. "I have movers coming." This discussion isn't over, but he backs up just enough for me to squeeze past. My phone buzzes as I reach the storage unit. A text from Greer. "Your mother just called Principal Davidson claiming family emergency. Said you needed immediate leave of absence." My stomach drops, but before panic can fully form, another text appears. Davidson told her he doesn't discuss staff matters with anyone but staff. "You still good for weekend painting session at new place?" Relief floods through me. "Absolutely. Bringing pizza." As the movers load my carefully labeled boxes, my phone lights up with notifications. Fiona has posted on social media a carefully angled photo emphasizing her small baby bump, her expression woeful. Hard to believe family would abandon you during your most vulnerable time. Some people only think of themselves. Pregnancy struggles, family betrayal, heartbroken. I should feel angry, but instead, a strange calm settles over me. The desperation in their tactics only confirms I'm making the right choice. Within minutes, my phone rings. Aunt Margaret's name appears on the screen. Just saw Fiona's dramatic post, she says without greeting. Interesting timing. Want to tell me your side? For the first time in days, I smile. I'd love to. By afternoon, 3 cousins have texted offering help with my move. Uncle Robert comments publicly on Fiona's post. Interesting how different this story sounds from both sides. Cousin Jessie shares my contact information with friends who need an art teacher for their children's summer camp. When I return for my final boxes, Principal Davidson's sedan is parked in front of my parents' house. Through the living room window, I see him speaking with my mother, his posture professional but unyielding. He catches sight of me through the glass and gives an almost imperceptible nod. Greer helps me document my remaining belongings with photographs before the final load. Just in case anything mysteriously disappears, she says, snapping pictures of my bookshelf. Jackson, the school counselor who's become a friend, texts, "If you want a mediator for a family meeting later, I'm available. No pressure either way. Your boundaries are valid." As we finish loading, Mom appears in the doorway, phone clutched to her chest. "Nobody can help with the baby," she says, voice thin with disbelief. "I've called everyone." Behind her, Fiona paces the hallway, one hand on her stomach, the other gesturing wildly as she whispers urgently to Dad. Their voices drift through the open door. "What do you mean she has tenant rights? She can't just..." "The loan payment is due next week, and the contractor still hasn't fixed. Who's going to handle night feedings if she's not here?" I close my car door, cutting off their voices. Through the windshield, I watch my father's face as he calculates costs on his phone, the color draining from his features as financial reality sets in. "Ready?" Greer asks from the passenger seat. I take one last look at the house where I've lived my entire life. More than ready. As we pull away, the rearview mirror shows 3 figures in the doorway, suddenly small and uncertain without their backup plan. 3 months after leaving, another storm comes. I heard the doorbell at precisely 6 o'clock one Sunday evening. 3 short rings, impatient and demanding. My parents never could resist the urge to arrive 15 minutes early to everything. Right on cue. I murmur to the empty apartment, checking my watch. The folder sits on my coffee table, its edges perfectly aligned with the corner. 3 months of meticulous documentation inside, organized by date and category. The culmination of a lifetime of being the responsible one. The doorbell rings again, longer this time. I take a deep breath, walk to the door, and swing it open. Mom clutches a bulging photo album to her chest like a shield. Dad stands behind her, hands in pockets, eyes surveying my building's hallway with thinly veiled disapproval. The forced smile on his face doesn't reach his eyes. "Honey," Mom pushes past me without waiting for an invitation. "We've been so worried about you." Dad follows, nodding curtly. Place is compact. I close the door, watching as they take inventory of my new home. 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, a small but functional kitchen, nowhere near as spacious as their house, but entirely mine. Well, mine and Greer's. Mom perches on the edge of my couch and pats the cushion beside her. "Come sit. I brought our family albums. Remember this?" She flips to a page of me at 8 years old, gap-toothed and beaming beside a science fair project. "You've always been part of our team. Don't you remember how we've always been there for you?" Dad clears his throat. "Look, we can work something out. What if we drop your rent? Just help 3 nights a week. That's reasonable." My phone buzzes on the counter. Fiona's name flashes on the screen. I put it on speaker. "Laurel?" Her voice wavers, thick with tears. "The baby kicked today. Your nephew. He won't even know his aunt if you abandon us now." A perfect trio of manipulation. I almost want to applaud the coordination. "Are you finished?" I ask quietly. Mom blinks. "Sweetie, we're trying to..." Number. I reach for the folder and open it. My turn. I pull out the first spreadsheet and place it on the coffee table between us. This is a record of my financial contributions to the household over the past 14 months. Their eyes drop to the columns of numbers. Groceries, $4,376. Utilities, $1,892. Home repairs I paid for, $987. I documented every time I rearranged my teaching schedule to accommodate Fiona's needs. I slide another page forward. 23 separate occasions highlighted in yellow. And this is the journal I started keeping after the 3rd time Fiona borrowed my car and returned it empty. Dad shifts uncomfortably. Laurel, this is petty. Family doesn't keep score. Interesting perspective. I extract a bank statement showing 14 months of on-time rent payments, placing it beside a blank space where Fiona's contributions should be. Apparently, some family members don't need to contribute at all. Mom's face flushes. Fiona's situation is different. Yes, it is. I slide over screenshots of text messages between my parents, dated 5 months ago. You knew about the pregnancy 2 months before telling me. You were already planning my role before I even knew about the baby. My calendar follows, color-coded and annotated. I was already contributing over 15 hours weekly to household tasks while working full-time. The new schedule you created would have required me to drop my supplemental health insurance. I tapped the medical statement showing the coverage I would have lost. The coverage that pays for my asthma medication. The silence stretches between us, tight as a wire. I was never your daughter needing support. My voice remains steady despite the heat in my chest. I was your backup plan, your safety net. The reliable one who would sacrifice everything because family helps family, but only when the family member is me. Mom's eyes fill with tears. That's not fair. No, it wasn't. I stand, straightening my shoulders. I've accepted a summer teaching position with the district, advanced placement art for gifted students. The schedule would have been impossible with your demands. But, Dad starts. I'll visit as family, I continue, not as free labor. I'll be Aunt Laurel who brings presents and plays with her nephew, not unpaid childcare with no say in my own life. Fiona's voice breaks the silence, still coming through the speaker. But who's going to help me if you don't? The naked desperation in her question hangs in the air between us. For the first time, I see real fear in my father's eyes as he calculates what my absence actually means. The renovation exceeded budget by $7,000, he admits finally, rubbing his temple. We thought with you helping Fiona, we could manage the payments. Mom looks down at her hands. We never considered your teaching requirements. We just assumed. That I would conform to whatever plan you made. I finish her sentence. You always have. Fiona's voice again, smaller now. I don't know how to do this alone. You're not alone, I tell her. You have Mom and Dad. You have options for childcare that don't involve exploiting your sister. You have choices just like I did. I walk to the door and open it, a clear signal our conversation is ending. In the hallway sits a cardboard box filled with items from my childhood bedroom. My debate trophies, art supplies, books with broken spines from countless readings. Someone has been to my old room. I look back at my parents, who stare at the box with matching expressions of guilt. I'll help you carry this inside, Dad says quietly, the first genuine offer he's made in months. 6 months later, I stand in the center of my living room, breathing in the scent of fresh coffee and acrylic paint. 6 months in my new apartment, and it finally feels like mine, not a temporary shelter but a home. Sunlight streams through curtains I chose, illuminating the wall of student artwork I've carefully framed. The principal's words still echo in my mind from yesterday's ceremony. Laurel Ellis has transformed our art program in just 1 year, showing students that creativity isn't a luxury, it's essential. My phone buzzes. A text from Greer. Don't forget book club tonight. Jackson's bringing that ridiculous cheesecake again. I smile, setting my empty mug in the sink. There's time to grade papers, finish my painting, and still make dinner with friends. No one will interrupt. No one will take my groceries or expect me to drop everything for their emergency. The quiet feels like a gift I've given myself. Later, I park outside Aunt Margaret's colonial house. Through the bay window, I glimpse Fiona cradling her son. She looks exhausted, but present in a way I've never seen before. Aunt Margaret meets me at the door. You look well, Laurel. Happiness suits you. Inside, Fiona glances up. Want to hold him? I take my nephew, this tiny person who almost became my unwanted responsibility. He has Fiona's nose and curious eyes. I can watch him Saturday afternoon if you want to attend that parenting class. I offer, the words feeling different now that they're my choice. I'm happy to be his aunt. That was never the problem. Fiona nods, understanding flickering across her face. Thanks, I'd like that. Aunt Margaret mentions that Mom and Dad are meeting with financial advisors next week. The renovation debt has them underwater, and Fiona's temporary stay with Aunt Margaret has stretched longer than expected. Small consequences for attempted theft of my future, but consequences nonetheless. Fiona's registered for the parenting course at the community center. Aunt Margaret says, pride warming her voice. 3 sessions already. Fiona shrugs but can't hide a small smile. The instructor doesn't sugarcoat anything, says I need to grow up faster than my son does. I hand the baby back, pulling out my calendar. I can do 2 Saturdays a month. That works with my schedule. The boundaries feel like armor, protecting the life I've built. The following evening, Greer raises her glass across our favorite restaurant table. Jackson and 4 other teachers join us, celebrating the end of the school year. To surviving our first year, Greer announces, and to Laurel's award-winning program. Aunt Margaret arrives as dessert is served, carrying a small wooden box. This belonged to your grandmother. It should have been yours years ago. Inside lies a delicate silver paintbrush with an engraved handle. I remember it from childhood visits, how Grandma would let me hold it while she worked. She wanted you to have it when you became a teacher, Aunt Margaret explains. She always saw your path clearly. Later that week, I meet with Tessa, a first-year teacher struggling with family expectations. They want me to move back home, she confesses. Say it's wasteful to pay rent when they have a perfectly good basement. I share my resource guide on financial independence. Sometimes the healthiest thing you can do is create distance. At home, I notice Mom's letter on my desk, still unopened after 2 weeks. We took you for granted because you were always reliable, she wrote in the only line visible through the envelope's window. I place it in my journal and turn to my easel, where a canvas blooms with color in my home office room that would have been impossible in my parents' house. Sometimes the most selfless thing you can do is protect yourself first. If you were in my position, would you have left completely or tried to negotiate better terms? Do you believe my family can learn to respect boundaries, or is convenience their true priority? Share your thoughts in the comments. What family boundary changed your life?